and it's hard to move on to other work because you have these are like your digital kids.
Your little babies.
They want to be like, hello, see the world. Lion King, hold up Simba on the mountaintop. But it's I think sonically it's definitely that kind of digital disconnect. And it was one of those things like this is, I started, a lot of these songs started and were written around right after the time OK Computer came out. So there's a lot of that kind of late 90s, everything's changing, digital, internet, what's going on, who are we? And it's only gotten worse, I feel, as the record, we kept working on the record, where you just get, you get more and more separated and more digital, it's, the line is in clean lines. It's the all alone in crowded rooms. And I think that happens a lot more than it used to. And so there's a lot of that kind of stuff. And I try and put that into the sound. So there's, a lot more clicks and beeps, and things are kind of disjointed sometimes. Kind of the drums are a little off. They're a little distorted. They're not just like, it's not just clean pop stuff, right? There's a couple songs that have more of that kind of just having a good time pop vibe. Reluctant Kisses definitely is more of that kind of vibe. But, things like Empty Apartment, there's a drum pattern that's a little bit off because it was hand played and we just left it. And it's kind of cool. Beard Bass played on an APC and he just played it by hand and we didn't lock it. We left it. It was he was playing to a metronome, but it's not perfectly quantized and things like that, which is really hard these days because when you're sitting there hearing something and you're so used to everything being so meticulously on the beat that you're just like, that hi-hat's a little bit out, and you're just like, no, that's all right. We're okay. It's not bad. It's hard
to find a balance of like wanting things to sound in the pocket but not to overdo it. And like with the tools we have today, it's so easy to overdo it. Like whether it's Melodyne or just like, quantizing beats. Like it's so, I struggle with this, like knowing to find the right human touch, like compromise, I guess.
Yeah, and it's hard for people that don't go in the studio a lot. They go in and they get nervous, and it's like, and it's like, no, just chill and play it, and we'll get the vibe. Because otherwise, it gets to a point where you might hit everything on time, but you've lost all the soul of the playing. So there's a balance that has to be found there somewhere.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your songwriting process. Like, how is it interconnected with the production process? How do you go about writing a song?
Usually songs come from an idea of either I'm messing around and I'll just roll tape while I'm just playing around with the guitar and playing around with effects, and I'll find a sound or a tone that I'm like, that's super cool. And then I'll just be, a riff might happen. And then I'll come back and I'll pull that out, and that becomes the verse. And then, something, and then, I'll start building a song around that. And usually I don't have lyrics, or even sometimes I'll have a melody, but I don't have lyrics really until the very last thing. So I've got this completely produced song. I've gone through and built out all these parts, and, and I may have to trim things and move things around, but I'll usually just roll tape and I'll have my mic up and I'll just start trying to sing something. It's like, if I consciously sit down and try and write out a lyric, it usually comes out as super insincere and just feels fake to me. It might feel fine to someone else, but I'm just like, at the end of it, I'm like, I don't like that. So I usually just sing and keep singing and something. And like, sometimes there are weird phrases that make it into a song. And sometimes unintentionally, like I'm just trying to work up something. I think, One Day is a great example. I couldn't figure out what to say in the verses of One Day, and I was doing some graphic design work, and I had a font site up, and I was looking for a font for a client, and every font was written in a weird phrase. Normally fonts are written in like either Lorem Ipsum, whatever, or the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, or one of those kind of things. But this person had just taken random snippets of random places and put them together. And I just printed out the whole page and started highlighting them, and then just started combining them in different orders to try and get something to work. And that's pretty much what's the verses of One Day. So then,
wow.
Like we finished, I'm like, because like I was pulling, like I didn't know what I was trying to say, and I was pulling stuff from it, and it worked out. I was just like, okay. And it's like, so you have lines that don't really make sense, like crazed by the afterglow, louder than all their roar, chasing these rainbows away. That's 3 different lines from 3 different fonts, and that's how it ends up in the song. And it just it had this super cool vibe when we listened back to it. So we're like, there we go. I guess that's how we're going to do this one. But other ones like Clean Lines was one of those ones that started off. It sounded very different. It was all keyboard Depeche Mode, very, 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 very dark and digital, just big pads. And I had the vocal actually came on that one relatively quickly, comparatively. And then we reproduced the song to make it much more of a rock song later. It was a little slower and darker, but a lot of the original parts from the original Reason file made it into the final.
Reason file.
Yeah. But yeah, so Clean Lines kind of came out of that digital, that like purely digital thing. And a lot of the early digital work I was doing before I had anything else was Reason. I had like Reason 1, Reason 2. And then, and that was one of my main soft synth tools, I think, for a decade easy. Just, from like 99 until 2009. And then I started getting more of other things. And I'd kind of become more Pro Tools focused and less Reason focused at that point. But
nice.
Yeah, so the process. I mean,
you're gonna have to send like a link that like listeners can like listen to these songs because you're referencing so many songs.
Oh yeah,
so people are gonna have to.
Yeah, we can put the SoundCloud.
Have a way to
link
listen
up.
back to it.
I'll send you the SoundCloud link to
Absolutely.
put on the notes.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually have the link. So
oh, cool.
So it's cool.
The craziest one was Apollo, which is the intro track and it's an instrumental, and it was the pink or the pink mauve, whatever it is, a line 6 pedal, the filter, and one of the settings you can get it to self-generate a tone. So I got it to self-generate a tone, plug that into a whammy pedal, and started pitch shifting it just to do it.
Yeah.
And so it's and that is the pitch shifted whammy pedal. And then I just recorded like 4 minutes of that, and then was like, huh. And I started playing around with Absinthe and some other stuff. And that there is no click track on that. There's no nothing. That's just one of those like kind of weird things. And that's definitely, I mean, it's definitely, I was listening a lot to Brian Eno's Apollo record at that time when I did that. So that's definitely where that's derived from, if you want to say that. But
yeah, it sounds like your songwriting process is a lot about just finding a vibe and rolling with it.
Totally.
Yeah. So how do you stay objective when you're producing your own songs?
Oh, it's impossible.
How do you?
I understand what you're asking, though. It's like how do I say that's good or that's not good? And I think the easiest way to do that is space. So
time.
Yeah, you track something, you come back to it the next day. If it's really bad, you're just like, whew, nope. If it's, it may take a little longer to figure out that it wasn't what you wanted. And I think that's when you kind of say, oh, like some of those, like when we reproduced a lot of things, we were like, this sounds dated, or this could be tighter, or hey, this really just doesn't interest me audio wise. What can we do with the treatment here to make this part lift? Or, let's do a drop back verse here. Let's break down here. Let's kind of make this song a little more interesting than just the switch is turned on, we run for 5 minutes, switch is turned off. Because I think a lot of young bands, especially, everybody does, like, people haven't yet learned that space and not playing is as important as playing.
Oh yeah.
So everyone's just like,
important.
I'm rocking 5 minutes. Okay, we're done with the song. And it's just a wall of sound for 5 minutes. And being able to sit there and say, the band, everything drops except for the lead singer and the piano. And then it all crashes back in, and it's like how that's such an impactful moment. And it's hard to convince young musicians that, hey, that really works a lot better than everyone just playing right through.
Yeah, I mean, I think that takes, like you were saying, it's about getting older and having a little bit more modesty and just, at a certain point you understand that it's about serving the song more than it's about, like, showing off your craft.
Exactly. Serving the song is definitely the phrase that's in my mind as well. That's definitely the... how do we do that best? Yeah,
I think that's like what separates producers from musicians. Is producers know when something is, just when it's appropriate and when it's not appropriate.
Totally. One, and also just you'll say like, you don't need that, and somebody's like, no, I need that. One of the early Juniper Lane recordings. This is before I was even in the band. They went to the Fidelatorium and showed up, and Eddie was setting up his drums. He set up the rototoms, and Ted just walked in. Ted Comerford, who also produced this record, and just picked them up, walked over, put them in the closet, and said, they stay there, and walked back. So just like being like, you don't need that. We're not going to have rototoms on this record. Nope. And having a producer that you respect as a musician, that you're like, that's probably the right call, because Let's go with it.
So actually, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you chose to collaborate with different producers for this record, and like it's also produced by you, but it's also produced by other people. Like, can you tell me about that?
Part of it is getting that objectivity where somebody can say you can do better, especially with when you're doing so many takes at home. It's really hard to be like, yeah, that's the right take. At a point, you're just like, I've got 14. I'm going to have to come back and listen through them later. And especially with me for vocal performances, it's having someone there to push me to that new level. I think with Fall at Your Feet was probably one of the best ones. And like that was like one of the last songs we did. Ted, there was a point where we're sitting there in Savannah tracking at Ted's place, and he's like, I don't believe you. I think it's the words he said back in the talkback. Like you're singing those words, I don't believe them. He's like, figure it out, change it up. Cause he's like, it's technically fine. It sounds okay. It's not bad. You're missing something still though. And having that objectivity that can help you take it to that higher level is crucial. And also just having somebody else that's in, like Ted's also a huge Crowded House fan, and we listen to a lot of the same records, and just he kind of gets what I was going for sonically. And it was also one of those things for him that most of the bands he was working with at the time were very much like they wanted kind of more of the clean songs, and I'm like, what is that weird thing in your rack? And it's, I was like pointing at like a thing called a Hellfire modulator from Metasonics. He's like, that makes things sound disgusting. I'm like, awesome. Can we use that? He's just, it's like, I'm looking for like, give me something cool. Like what's different? What's crazy? And a lot of the people he's tried to use that with were just like, nope, that sounds bad. And I'm like, let's trash the drums. Let's do this. And things like that. So I think it's having that person that can take the song to that next level and give you that objectivity that's so difficult when you've been, especially, I'd been with these songs for so long, and we call it demoitis. I don't know if that's an official term, but that's what we were calling it.
Oh yeah, it's totally an official term.
Yeah, and you're just like, it's like that's not what my demo sounded like that I've played in my car for 7 years or whatever.
Oh my gosh,
it's so hard. It's so hard to break that, and having somebody to be like, it's okay, come with me. We're gonna make this song awesome.
Take my hand.
Yeah. And just being able to lift you out of it, like give you that confidence to put that down and try that new thing. I think that's a lot of it for me. And just somebody that gets what I was trying to go for. And Freddie also was able to do a lot of that too with just the arrangement, because, you wrote a song, you've played it on acoustic guitar, you played it in your room or your demo forever, and you played it even live. And then people are like, yeah, that's a great song. And then it's like, yeah, we could change it up. Do I want to change it up? Freaked out. It's okay. Let's go.
So sounds like you're not too precious about like that kind of stuff. Sounds like you're willing to change and be malleable.
I think you have to be at a point, because if one, taste change, right? Even your own tastes, but secondly, just having any amount of, if you're, again, this goes back to serving the song, that whatever is so super important to me may not be the best thing for the song. And at the end of the day, I personally want to have that song be as amazing as possible. And so sometimes you have to be able to say, I'm going to put that down, and that's okay. And sometimes it's having the mixer do it for you, where
muting it.
Yeah, no, it's true. Clean Lies is a great example. We were tracking this on 888s at the time. This is 2004-ish. So we had 24 tracks, in nominally. And we got, Matt Boswell was the engineer, and I'm tracking the guitars, and he's like, okay, what's next? And I'm putting this next guitar piece in, and what's next? He's like, all right, you're done. I'm like, but I have another guitar player. He's like, too bad, we're out of tracks. So just running out and then having to make choice. Okay, well, if we can take this one out, that's not that important to me. This other idea is more important to me. There's some of that, and this goes back to like analog world too. Like some of that has been lost now when you can always add another track. You don't have to be an editor and make those decisions up front. So, somebody like, when we sent, like Hager mixed the vast majority of this record, and so sending something over to a guy like that, and he's just like, mute, don't need that. And it comes back, you're like, whoa, that's a lot less dense than what I sent, but it sounds much more punchy. It has a lot more lift. It has a better impact. You kind of got to go, that's why you hire somebody that's unrelated to the record to do that thing they do and bring it to that final level. Can
you tell me a bit about, like, Sean was telling me about the story of this record and how it's like, it's been like a long time in the making, and it's been through so many different studios and so many different like ebbs and flows. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it started literally 2004. Dave McGregor and I go down to Cary, North Carolina, to a farmhouse that Ted's got rented, and we start doing drums and some guitar work. And it's that's kind of at the point where the band had like stopped playing, and